Remember yesterday when I said that Amanda of Sweet Skein of Mine and Christina of Chelsea Yarns looked great in the morning in their pajamas? I'm really glad that a lot of you enjoyed that and got a chuckle out of it. I still am in what I wore last night to bed. It is Saturday evening and I have spent the entire day knitting, and I'm not sorry for it. I'm here to show you my real life. That's one of the things that people kind of like about my vlog. And in real life, we have a Christmas party to go to tonight at 7. It is now 4:30. And why shower during the day if I'm gonna stay home and knit when I feel the best, like right out of the shower? So when you see me in my photos of like my designs or any of those photos, I am like fresh out of the shower. There you have it. So let's get into today's knitting. Here are my socks from the Cozy Knitter, stripe number 7. And here is day 7 of Vitaland of her, here we go. And as you can see, I've left a nice long tail so that I can use that to seam it later. I also wanted to show you that here is the first strip. I've put it on a barber cord. You can also put it, if you don't have barber cords, then you can put it on whatever you want. But I have found with barber cords, and sometimes when they're going to be sitting for a bit or they're going to be jostled around in my bag, that I like to tie the end, just to kind of hold everything in place so that when I'm finished with the second strip, I will put it on here and I'm gonna tie this again. I also do that for my underarms and things like that. Another little tip here. So let's open today's, which is, today is day 7, Lollipop Lane. Can you believe we are a week into December already? Good grief. So number 7 of Vitaland is Lollipop Lane. Number 7. This artwork was really, really incredible. Ooh. Check that out. Ooh, wow. These are great colors. Oh, so fabulous. Yesterday, I talked about my new obsession of Amanda with Sweet Skein of Mine. And she had shown on her Vlogmas the pattern for Camp Side by Alicia Plummer. I'm just starting, there's 4 charts, I'm just starting the 3rd chart, and that is why I still look like this. Brush my teeth though. Yeah, so this is why I look like this. It is very simple, but not boring, and it's just the greatest thing to binge watch something on. So here it is. I'm loving the color. This is the end of the first skein. This is how much I have left. I don't think that I'll be able to knit a skein a day, but if I were, you know, if I could tomorrow and the next day, then friends, this would be a 3-day project. I like to go on Ravelry and kind of look at people's projects and see how long it takes them. And then the wee little bit of competitiveness in me, which I don't have any. I'm not competitive with anybody or anything except for myself. and I'll say, ooh, that person knit it in a week. Let me see if I can do it in 3 days or 4 days. I don't know why. And being a production knitter, right? Being someone that has to have things done by a deadline, here's a great example of if I, if I had to have this done for a deadline, I would know that I can knit. If I knit from 7 in the morning until like 4 o'clock, so what's that? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 9 hours. Oh my God, I knit for 9 hours today. Well, I also knit. Why am I like shocked? This is me. Oh. Anyway, if I knit 9 hours a day, I would have it done in 3 days because the project says that you need three skeins of yarn, right? Do you see how that works? A lot of times in my classes, what I teach is that when you find out your row gauge, which is after it's been laundered, right? So you take your row gauge, let's say your row gauge is 8 rows to the inch. And let's say the pattern, the row gauge for the pattern is 9 rows to the inch, okay? And you get to the part, if it's a top-down sweater, you get to the part where it's knit after you split for the sleeves, and it'll say either knit in pattern or knit in stockinette until the piece measures 12 inches from the underarm split. I've seen many a knitter take their knitting in the yarn shops and measure the knitting that's on their needles for the length. And whilst that gives you a great ballpark figure, especially if you're working with something like superwash wool or anything with alpaca or silk in it, once you launder it, that stuff's going to relax and it's going to get much longer. So let's say you're knitting on your sweater and you want it to be 14 inches from underneath your arm to your hip or wherever you like your sweaters to lay, and you're knitting it in superwash wool, and you measure it and it's 14 inches like the pattern said, and then you block it. Well, friends, you're not going to have 14 inches anymore from under your arm. It's going to be like probably, 16 or 17 inches because of the way that your fabric relaxes. So here's something that I do that I really love. I'll use my row counter, and after I've laundered my swatch, in the manner in which I'm going to knit it, right? If it's a pattern that's in the round, your swatch needs to be in the round. And it needs to be that way because when you're knitting flat back and forth, it's totally different measurement for most people, and me too. Because usually that purl row is just a wee little bit longer than the knit row. So, if you can imagine, you're only knitting, when you're knitting in the round, a knit row, it's going to be a little bit tighter. So if you do your swatch knitting back and forth, it's not going to be the same. Okay, so what I do is, let's say there is something that says I'm going to knit. I'm in the middle of this and my camera is telling me that I'm going to lose my battery again. All right, I'm going to say it fast, but it's important. Let's say underneath your arm you want to knit for 10 inches and your laundered swatch measures 8 rows per inch. No matter what the gauge on your pattern says, you know that if you take 8 rows times 10 inches, that means you're going to knit 80 rows. So you don't have to measure at all once you split for your sleeves. All you have to do is either keep track with little hash marks on your pattern, or you can keep track with one of those clicker things, I have one right there because I use it all the time. My boys used to like to play with that when they were young and living at home. But you will keep track of however many rows that you have to do. Not. I did lose my battery, and here we are. We're all set up again. And whilst I was doing that, I grabbed my little clicker thing that tells me what row that I'm on. What you're going to do is keep track of however many rows it is instead of measuring it on your needles, because that is not a very accurate way of finding out where you are in your knitting. So let's say I know that I need to have this sweater done and I have a certain amount of time. And I know that it takes me 1 or 2 days to get to the sleeve split. It takes me about a day and a half to do 2 sleeves. And the variable is how long I'm going to knit under my once we split for the sleeves. And let's say I have 80 rows to do. So I already know that I have, 4 days under my knitting belt, right? So if I have 3 days left, right, I need to have it done in a week. Let's say 10 days because we have blocking time. But let's just say I want to have it done in a week. I know I have 80 rows to do, and I have 3 days in which to do it. So 80 divided by 3 is 20 something. So if I knit 20 something rows for 3 days, I know I'll be at the end. And I can do the ribbing or, whatever else needs to be done. So that's the way my brain works when I'm working on a pattern. And I noticed today when I was working a little bit on the socks and then a little bit on the cardigan, the quilted cardigan, I don't care to do that. It takes a lot of, I'm a start something and finish it before I do the next thing. And so this has been a great lesson for me. I kind of blow through the things that I have to do in the morning instead of enjoying them. And so when I started this last night, today I was like, I can knit on that all day and be in my jammies and drink coffee in the morning and tea in the afternoon and, have a great day until I have to get ready to go to a party. And so that's the way my brain works. So if I were knitting this for hire, right, I would know that, so I've knit for 9 hours and that's about 1 skein of yarn. So I'm in for another 18 hours of knitting, and I can break that up. I can do, 3 days of 6. I could do 4 days of, whatever that is, however, 4 hours or whatever. And I'm lucky because this is my job. So I do have all day to do it. Unless I have some work to get done or a pattern to write or, things like that. But for the most part, that's how I do my knitting. And for the most part, friends, this is how I look when I'm knitting. I'm in my favorite spot. This is my favorite room, my studio room that has all the light. And I just sit right over there and watch mindless things on YouTube. I'm kind of a junkie for people getting pulled over, like body cam videos. I don't know, I kind of like to watch those. I don't know why. I'm going to knit on this for just a wee little bit more and then get ready and go to a party with my husband and see some friends. I did get something in the mail from my friend Margaret, which is something that I'm working on, and I'm really, really excited about it. And I also have a sheep locks wreath that I'm getting ready to put, and this is the Cotswold. I'm getting ready to put this on the form. So I'll have one of those done. And that class is going on. If you wanted to take a class with me virtually and Tabitha, that the signups for that, the end of the signups for the December 17th class are going to be on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. So that the kits can be sent out to you and everything. So if you are interested in taking a class with me and Tabitha, it's a 2-hour class. We're gonna have a lot of fun. You're gonna learn the technique. And I did have a question whether you could use the technique for other things. Oh, So here we're in my studio, and I do have something hanging up. Do you see it right there? So that is the lovely popover. Here I am in my jammies. The lovely popover, and I changed it a little bit. These are Cotswold blocks as well. And it has a little slit on the side here. So you see that? Oh, hi, Hanky. So there's a little slit on the side. It's just a little different. I wrote up the pattern. It's now, this one's called the Lovely Locks Popover. The Lovely Locks Popover. And that I'm gonna release next week. If you've already purchased the lovely popover, because the top is exactly the same, you're going to use the same needles. You just need you need to know the technique, and it's just a little bit different. So you would get it for a very, very discounted price. What do you see, buddy? So here's my spot. There it is. You see my my headphones that are noise canceling? I can't hear a thing. It's the best. So here we are. I'm going to leave the video there, friends. I hope you all are having a wonderful Saturday. Thank you for all your wonderful comments. Don't forget to comment so that you can be entered for the big prize at the end. If you've enjoyed the video, if you'd please give it a thumbs up, I would sincerely appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Here we are with this, and there were a couple things that I love. I was going to do a technique video, but I don't have it in me today. Okay.